good morning, everyone. My name is Junlu. I'm from University of Alabama, and just a little bit side information. I was a student of Dr. Asad Khattak, so he was my PhD advisor. So I cannot say there's no any pressure following him presenting. Anyway, so you are going to say some of the stuff I say. I mean, it's quite relevant or similar to what Dr. Khattak just said. I mean, first of all, I mean, after I say all those things, now I'd like to acknowledge my collaborators and especially my students and who are currently actually helping take care of my kids outside. Javier and Lindsay, they are actually outside in the lobby. And also my colleagues, Dr. Stephen Jones and Dr. Reg Solovich from University of Kentucky. And they have been a big support of the research I'm going to present. And this slide shows the overview of our project. It's not the research I'm going to present, but our research kind of was generated within this project. And we have our project team, and Jerry has already introduced, and we have collaborators from Florida and from and also UA and Florida. So and also Kentucky. All right, and okay. So our project is trying to look at the benefits and costs of the CUVs that we can deploy in rural areas. And when we were proposing this project, we saw, well, this requires us to learn a lot because we feel like there's just so many studies and research that has been going on. They are trying to develop or testing those technologies that can, what benefits those technologies can generate. And the first task of our project is literature review. So we said, well, we can kind of produce a really nice review paper. And there are really a lot of studies. And this is just really a small portion, tiny portion of those studies relevant to what we want to look at. And actually, there are a couple of my papers as well. But we were trying to generate a review paper, but you can find a list of papers that are trying to summarize all those findings already. So then later on, what we can do, we can just borrow one of those papers and already published that because they are really nice papers. They have summarized all the findings already. So later on, we kind of think about, okay, what can we do about it? Can we just simply presenting the already published summarizing summary of those findings? But then we have some questions about, hey, we should do something because we are also researchers. We cannot just sell some other people's stuff. So we ask questions. When we're trying to have our project meetings, we ask questions about, especially about transferability. Can we just simply borrow the findings from the other studies to say that's the benefits we're going to receive for those rural areas? And maybe the answer will be no, because Dr. Khattak has already showed that the urban areas are so much difference. And another one, I'm actually thinking about NCAT, they are really doing a good job about deploying those school technologies in rural communities. So I'm expecting they are going to generate, really good results about those benefits and impacts of those technologies in rural areas. But however, now my second question is about those benefits revealed in North Carolina. Can we just say those will be also the same benefits for Alabama? So that's just another question there. So, you would think about North Carolina and Alabama, they are basically different, and politically or culturally or some other socioeconomically, you can think about many aspects that can be different. And now look at the rural roads. I really like rural areas. They are really beautiful, but they are really different from each other. And the differences, there's a better word, which is called heterogeneity across different areas. And I just summarize them into two aspects. They may be, different from the environment side, or they may be different from the human side. For the environment, you can think about building environment or natural environment or geographic environment or those like terrains. But for the human aspects, demographically, socioeconomically, culturally, politically, they are different. They are different. So my hypothesis is that all those differences of heterogeneities across different rural or urban communities, they're going to have an impact on our CUV adoptions. So that's like the background. The goal of our research within this project is trying to understand or reveal the potential spatial heterogeneity of the safety benefits from the adoption of the AV technologies within the rural areas. And looking at the rural areas, we are focused on the safety, And this is just some quick numbers or graphs from the NHTSA, their safety facts. I mean, they have this kind of reports every year, and comparing the rural and urban areas. This is showing the total number of fatalities. And it looks like it's really kind of stable for the rural areas, and I mean, since the COVID, there's a big, there's kind of increase for the urban areas. But I mean, even the urban areas, we see a lot of more fatalities. But if you think about the population in rural area, it's 20–30% of that, of the total population in this country. So this 17,000, that's really a big number of fatalities. And now if you look at the fatality rates, this is for vehicle miles traveled. I'm not sure it's 100, yes, 100 million, standard 100 million vehicle miles traveled. And rural areas stand out. So rural areas face safety challenges, of course. And well, now we have to think about what kind of challenges, what kind of crashes we have in the rural areas. Also comparing with the urban areas. This is just a really just one example about the roadway departure crashes and also the intersection crashes. It's simply just comparing the rural and urban. You can even imagine that in the urban areas, there are so many intersection crashes. But intersection crashes, there's tiny portion, not tiny portion, just smaller portion, small portion. But for the roadway departure crashes, then there are a lot in rural areas. Now going back to all our safety technologies and a lot of core research, they may be focusing on how we can improve the safety at intersections. But think about the that may not have really greater benefits actually compared to urban areas for the rural area. So maybe we should consider some technologies that can address the issues in the rural areas, especially like the road departure crashes, run-off road crashes. And this is just a simple list of all the, available safety features, applications, and companies, all those manufacturers are trying to develop and sell. And there are really a lot, but not all of them would be kind of really, I say, very valuable or very helpful for the rural safety issues. And there are just really a lot. And with all those safety application features, and we can connect them to those specific crash types. So that would require, going back to look at, okay, what kind of crashes we have in rural areas. And this is just showing for Alabama, this is showing the rear-end crashes and the census block group level. And this is crash rate per 100 people. But you see it clearly, there is spatial variation. There's spatial variation, and we would not expect the similar crash reductions for different census block groups. And if you from the literature, you would find they will always conclude that this type of technology is going to reduce the crashes by this much percentage. But this much percentage, maybe we would consider it's like an average reduction. But if you look at this particular county or census block group, maybe it's a different percentage because they have different safety issues already there. So that is from the issue aspect, the safety issue aspect, the heterogeneity across different rural communities. But now let's look at how people are going to adopt CEVs. And then that leads us to another section of the research, which is about adoption, CEV adoption. And this is just some random diagrams from by Google Scholar search or Google Map searching. And you can find really a lot of the studies, based on maybe surveys or whatever data, and they are trying to come up with those diagrams, trying to model how the AVs are going to be adopted and how people are going to perceive those technologies, going to use it, and or using it different ways. And really a lot. And there's just another one which I'd like to highlight. There's a section of the inputs. Input data they want to have in their model, trying to understand, trying to relate all those features to the potential the AV adoptions or perceptions. And that is a lot of the socioeconomic or demographic features. And my student last night shared with me this, and it's like Javier, and we are trying to use this data from the Twin Cities in Minnesota, trying to build our own models about AV adoption. But our goal is not really build an AV adoption model. We are just trying to find the relationship between all those socio-demographic factors, and then how that will be related to those adoption behaviors or AVs. And because later on, we are going to look at those census block group level and look at all those socioeconomic attributes. And then based on those census provided socioeconomic data, and then try to predict the kind of adoption rates for different census block groups. And that's what we are expecting to find. This is basically showing the census provided socioeconomic patterns in Alabama, and this is first graph is on the left is showing the household median income, and the figure on the right hand showing the education. And you can think about the income and education, that could be the factors affecting people's adoption behaviors regarding the AVs. And for different regions, people are going to see those technologies differently. So, I'm going to summarize. There are two dimensions of the spatial heterogeneity or spatial dimensions in regarding the benefits or the impact of the CAV adoption in the rural communities. The dimension number one is about traffic crashes. So traffic crashes are going to vary across the different geographical space. And so in that case, regarding the benefits, so we're going to expect there is variation in the PSI potential for the safety improvements. And I learned that PSI from the highway safety manual last week. All right, so the dimension number two is the socioeconomic characteristics, age, income, education. They would also vary across the geographic space. So then that would vary for the CAV adoptions. And so there are two dimensions, but I will have a question. You may think about the other dimensions. That would also lead to some variation, the safety, the impacts of the CAV adoption in the rural communities. So methodologically, what we are trying to do, we are trying to integrate the overall safety benefits of the AV features from the literature. We're going to look at all the literature, and then we're going to kind of estimate the variation of the CAV adoption in rural communities, and then they look at the crash data to look at it to see the variation of the crash frequencies. We're going to combine them together, trying to show how the AV safety benefits are going to spatially vary or distributed within the rural communities. And currently, we are going to use the data from the Alabama and the Kentucky to look at these two states, also a little bit comparison. And those are the challenges. Actually, Jerry has already mentioned about it. And especially, we are looking at a kind of moving target, and we have to come up with some scenario assumptions to assume there are going to be some changes in those technologies or infrastructure aspect, also the population. And so trying to incorporate all those uncertainties in the future, trying to come up with something that, in the future, at least we have one or two scenarios that can be able to met with the future within 5-10 years. And the contribution aspect and this build, we think this study is going to contribute to a good understanding of the spatial disparities of safety benefits in rural areas. And we hope the information we are going to generate will be really valuable for the policymakers. So when they consider the CAV adoptions or introductions in their region, think about their local issues and also the people's behaviors, adopting behavior in this aspect. A little bit discussion there. I would ask a question. Do you have any ideas about other dimensions of spatial disparities regarding the CAV adoptions or even costs? And how would rural users, I'm talking about non-AV users, perceive AVs? Will they challenge or bully AVs on the roads, especially where there's no anybody around? That's just a question I'm throwing here. That's all I have. All right.